Hey, everybody, Reverend Rob here. Stay tuned. I've got a power guest, somebody I met doing tarot readings, and she was doing her own readings right next to me. Her name is Mo. Yes, you'll get more, but check this out. This is a tarot day today. Banger! This is Tarot with an Attitude, featuring your host, tarot consultant, and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee. This is Tarot with an Attitude, and I am your host, tarot consultant, and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee. Bangering. Man, have I got not only a beautiful, but a great guest today, Morrisa or Mo, okay? And guess what? This even caught my attention even more. The Lowkey Priestess. She offers an in-depth one-on-one tarot readings. Mo started working with tarot very slowly around 15 years ago. Then in 2022, after the tragic loss of a dear friend, an introduction to a real tarot mentor, everything clicked, and Mo has been reading tarot professionally since spring of 2023. Her style is casual, conversational. Man, I loved watching her over her shoulder. I was spying, okay? That's stalking. That's a little harsh, okay? Especially my wife sitting right next to me. It's why she calls herself the low-key princess. She's low-key. I'm tarot with an attitude. God, I hope I don't tear her up. This is going to be something. Operating under the belief that tarot is a sacred tool that can be used to help individuals. Mo loves working with folks from all walks of life to help them find the strength and confidence within to approach whatever comes their way. In addition to reading tarot, Mo is also a level 2 Reiki practitioner, student of the Akashic Records, and medium in training. So, without any further ado, take it away, Mo. How you doing?
I'm great. It's really good to see you. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, one of the things I want people to be able to see right out of the gate is you are on Instagram, and it's at the Lowkey Princess, right?
Priestess.
Well, princess, well, the Lowkey Priestess, but the first time I saw you, we were up in Kittery. We didn't even have much of a conversation. We were at a show together, and you caught my eye, and especially your headband just really captured me with the moon and the sun and everything. And I am an energy person, okay? And that just really caught my heart. So let me ask you this, okay? When we talk about tarot, what does tarot mean to you? What is tarot to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I got into tarot thinking, ooh, I want to know about the future and I want to tell, make these predictions and all that kind of stuff. But the more I work with it, the more it is about helping you just kind of nudge your perspective. Just that little bit that you need, but that you can't really do without a little nudge. So it's really about that looking within, that kind of changing perspective, that seeing something that is hard to see, especially when folks are, having a hard time and the mind's going like crazy. Tarot is a great way to kind of stop you in your tracks and say, this is what we really need to think about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's what, with people that are leery or whatnot, they're coming in, I'm like, especially some older folks, I had them be like, I don't know. I said, I don't get into this dark stuff. There's dark stuff out there. Okay.
Mhm.
But what I'm here to do is help you connect with your higher consciousness, your guides, your whatever God is to you, the mother, the universe,
Mhm.
and all of that. And I'm here to hopefully just help you see because what you're not seeing because you're too busy. Because
Yeah,
anything I can do and what you can do, I'm a firm believer that anybody can do it. What do you
100%.
think?
100%. And that's been a big thing I've been on lately is that yes, anybody can do this. For a long time, I got a very slow start because I just thought, oh, I'll buy these cards, but I wasn't born psychic. I don't have, this stuff in my blood. It's not a family thing for me. Um, and that's crap.
Yeah.
I just needed the right person to kind of help me.
Oh my
I
God,
learned
I
best
love
as a
you.
teacher, and I needed someone with the patience to sit down with me and just walk me through the deck. And the second I did that, it clicked, and it just kind of it makes me really angry about a lot of the gatekeeping that can happen sometimes, I think, in this community too. And that's sort of my high horse that I'm on right now. Just there's no sense in gatekeeping. This is just another language that we can all learn to
Thank you
see the world in a
so
different way.
much. I wrote a book, Tarot Simplified. It's on, and learn to read tarot in a day. It's on Amazon or whatnot. But one of my big things is, all these rules around tarot. And one of the things that took me a while to learn when I got into it was throw the damn rules out the window.
Yeah.
It's individual. It's me channeling my conscious, my spirits, your spirits, and whatever I do with this tool, whether I make my own, headband or whatnot with the tarot card and say, read off my head, it's whatever works for me. And
right.
There are no things. And, the funniest question I always get, does somebody have to gift me my first tarot deck?
Absolutely not.
I'm a Baptist preacher's kid.
As they come, and I don't even subscribe to that one.
No, I was a Baptist preacher's kid.
Yeah.
And who's going to offer me a tarot deck? No, you don't have to. And I say this a lot, free your mind, your ass will follow. Okay, it's one of those things, just open up, be open, and be ready. The next thing, and I want to see if you agree with me on this.
Yeah.
I tell people the next hardest thing is throw the book away.
Yeah.
Learn, there's some basics or whatnot that will help you.
Right.
But at some point, you got to listen to that voice in your head. You got to listen to what the artwork's saying. It doesn't matter that the two is sitting whichever suit you're in. But would you agree with that? It's your own personal interpretation with whatever's going on.
Absolutely. And the way I see it is your intuition and your imagination are so closely linked, which is a whole other subject and a whole other slew of things that get murky and confusing. But, the more what you're doing when you're learning all those meanings, when you're diving into what all the symbols mean, is you're fueling up your imagination. You're putting data into a computer. And when whatever that is, even if it's not the same card or the same symbol, if that's in there and that is triggered by your intuition when you're in a reading, then what does it matter? I think one of the first big steps for me with my intuition, with kind of saying, oh, you know what, maybe there is something psychic about me too, was, the first time practicing giving tarot readings to people that weren't close friends, seeing the 10 of Pentacles sitting there and saying, I know this has to do with, generational wealth or a ton of abundance. And like, I kind of know this person, but not well, but I know that's not what we're talking about. And I said, I have no idea why, but my intuition is saying, hey man, is something weird going on with your family? Is there some kind of like disconnect or like closeness, but misunderstanding? And they were like, oh my God, yes. And that's when I said, okay, cool. Like, I know the definition, and I also know that it's not the end all be all.
And you know what? That is so important. And I want people to listen to what Mo just said. Okay. Yes, there is what is considered a standard definition of a card. That's merely a guideline. The numbers on the card get to speak to you. And be in tune with the energy of the people coming out, because I have taken what people consider completely positive cards, and just like you said, if anybody else, somebody's just like, but Rob, Mo, the 10 of Pentacles is like the Hollywood ending. It's supposed to be this beautiful thing, but when your spirit or something says, this is the card I need to show you to let you know this is a family issue, and it's real, it's here, it's now, we got to go with that, and you kind of put it together with the other cards as a story, So, man, that you make my heart happy. Something else I watched you do that, again, because I've always done it and felt like I was the big renegade. Most times I deal with my cards, but there are times I'm like, here, something will speak to me. Your energy needs to be in this deck. You shuffle them around, you cut the deck, you do whatever. I let each thing talk to me. And I noticed you were very big. And not just letting them fondle your deck, okay? But you did a thing where their hands were outstretched.
Mhm.
Okay. They had, and for my podcast listeners down the road, hand was outstretched, like I use my left hand. Okay.
Yep.
She laid the deck in the left hand, but then had them put the right hand on top of it and hold it out and up.
Mhm.
What help me with where you're what, because I was like, wow, because you did that quite regular. And then it would change on whatever you were doing with what you had them do with the deck. So that was so intriguing. So I where what that's doing and where the energy is coming from, or where do you think, help me with that. Okay.
Yeah. I started doing that probably about 9 months ago, and I open every single reading with it now. So what we're doing there is, so you start with the left hand outstretched, your left side being your feminine side. If you prefer yin and yang, then it's that yin energy. Either way, it's your receptive side. So they're taking the energy from the deck into them through that side, and then topping it off with the right hand. So that's going to be that masculine yang energy expressive side. So they are then putting their energy back into the deck. So it is a bit charged from their energy just by doing this. It also gets them more in the mood too, right? You're following these steps, you're taking direction. It feels a little sacred. It feels a little bit different and exciting. But then the next part's really what's crucial, is just bringing it up to the heart. And then I have us do a deep inhale through the nose and then an exhale through the mouth, and just a little grounding, kind of bonding with the cards. We're doing a little grounding. And my secret is that, at a busy show where you're doing back-to-back readings, that deep breath is my reset. I need it to go into that next one.
I
Push a little bit to it as well, but yeah.
You probably saw me over there with my sage spray. I would let some people leave, and particularly some people, I'm like, oh my God, baby, there's so much going on there. But also too, I'm like you, that break. I know we were running back to back on a lot of stuff, but at the same point, man, we got to take a moment, Now, in that, when you get done with a busy show, okay, how tired are you?
Honestly, I usually am just frantic and hyper for a couple hours. Yeah, I'm just running off that buzz. But yeah, the second I sit down, have something to eat, I'm toast.
Okay.
I'm toast.
And there it is, because and that might be what I don't eat a lot during the days that I'm doing shows or whatnot. I just want to keep things clear, a lot of water. And that's another thing I stress to people that want to read. Water is key. Staying hydrated. Thank you. Okay. So let me ask you this then. When you have somebody, when you're doing a reading for somebody and we go through your thing, and I like that, and I might steal that from you and try it sometime just to see how the energy rolls with it.
Yeah.
Do you then have them, because I didn't get to see it and I wasn't going to intrude because I didn't want to interject my energy in there either. Do they then shuffle cut? Do you shuffle cut? Or is it variant depending on what you see or feel?
It does vary a little bit. I always have them shuffle. And I used to, I have several decks, but my two favorites are my, old Rider-Waite Smith, but then I've got the shiny fancy Thoth deck, which a lot of people gravitate to, but then I say, well, it's huge and you have to shuffle this, so keep that.
So when cards go everywhere, it's not my fault.
Right. I love you. But yeah, I know some readers that don't like others handling their deck, but I'm all about getting that energy in there. My decks get around. So yeah, I love to have them shuffle. And often my plan is to, my default, I guess I should say, is to have them pull the cards, but my intuition changes that a lot, and it's been doing it a lot
Yeah.
more lately too, where I'll say, no, I'm driving this time, I'm pulling all the cards. Or sometimes I'll start with a 3-card spread that they pick, and then I'll do the rest. Or sometimes I just say, I'm doing the whole thing.
Yeah,
It really just
exactly.
depends. Yeah.
I know too, especially with the energy of this year,
Mm,
as frenetic as it can be and people can be. Sometimes when I hand them the cards or whatnot, and I'm like, okay, is there any specific question? Like, yeah, no, and they want to grab the cards. Then I'm
right.
like, okay, I want you to think of the question, and then they sit there holding the cards. Well, I don't know what to ask,
Mhm.
because they've got so much, they don't know how to still their mind and settle on a question. I'm like, okay, let me help you. And I take the cards back and I start shuffling and I say, why don't we do this? Let's just let the cards speak.
Mm.
Spirit speak through the cards. And then as we flip cards, if you go, oh, I need more information on, and you can almost see a sigh of relief, like, yeah, let's do that. Because they're putting on the spot. And you saw it. One of my banners.
Mm.
My wife's, she's the intelligent one in this relationship. Um, she put on it a whole list of these are good questions to ask your tarot specialist,
I like
because a lot of
that.
people don't understand it. But yeah, no, I'm with you right there. So that makes total sense. What people do. So what about do you do readings with more than one person, two people, or how does it? I saw that face for my podcasting audience. It was kind of a cringing face, and every tarot reader does that because I do it. Let me just say what I do. I've done several like that, but I tell if it's about a couple, then I want them both there. But
Mm.
I let them know up front. To me, one person's energy or what needs to come through could start driving the whole reading. And like if my wife's having a reading, I gotta like vacate. I gotta
Yeah.
go almost to another state, because we're so intertwined, we're so close. But both our energies are so powerful that you can overdrive a reading. Have you had that problem before?
That actually happened to me probably like 2 months ago. It was very interesting. And I had just given the husband a reading and it was clear and easy. And hers felt like a struggle. And I'm describing, she's like, it sounds like you're still talking about him. And he was, a few feet over. And I
Mhm.
said, I guess I am. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, when people come to me and they say, oh, I want a couples reading, or can you read us together? It is not my favorite thing to do, honestly. I mean, it can be done. I've done, I don't know what a successful reading looks like, but
Yeah,
I've had tarot readings for couples where both people walk away happy, and that's fantastic. But yeah, people's energies can totally, blend in, or God forbid, if it is a couple and they kind of do the opposite of that and things get messy. I don't want to be the one responsible for starting a family squabble. That's
I hear you. And
I don't know.
here's what I tell them, and that comes from my marriage counseling before. Disclaimer: it's not my job to make you happy.
Right.
Okay, you're asking for a message, and I will literally tell them no shooting the messenger.
Hmm.
Okay, and if at some point either one of you become uncomfortable, you don't even have to go stop. Just look at me and go where the other person doesn't see it, and I'll know to steer clear because you're right. Man, there are some. I love doing it, and a friend of mine who is Eyes of the Dragonfly, her name's Bridget Meesbar. One of the things that she does is funny. She says, I'm doing a couples reading, and a third party comes through, and you're like, where do I go with this now? You know, um, yeah. And at some point, you got to say, all right, who's the third party?
Right.
And when you get both people going, you're like, okay, we'll come back to that. And you never wind up making it back. Or one of them will come back later and go, I need to know about third party.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not about you. So let's just see what's going on. But yeah, and I want my listeners to know that when they call in or things going on, I do online readings, things like that through Zoom or whatnot, as well as in person. The atmosphere you're having your reading done in can really play a role in what's going on, you know? So, yeah, it's come in, sit down, have a good time. But again, you said, what is a successful, tarot reading? To me, it's when I give the message I got.
Yeah.
Whether they accept it or not. Because I knew this one thing too. Have you ever had somebody, you're doing the reading, you're on, you're on the spot, and they're going, no, or they don't respond at all? How do you take that? What do you do?
I don't know that anyone's ever directly been like, no, but when you touch on an aspect of their personality or something that they're doing where that you're right. I one time was doing a reading for a woman, and I kind of sort of knew her, friend of a friend sort of situation, and I was getting a lot of messages about overindulging, drinking too much, that kind of thing. And it came up, and it was like, oh no, like I'm good. And it's kind of one of those things where, like, that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. A commode last week, sweetheart. Yeah.
Yeah. I think something that's strange, or also that I've had, I'm wondering if this has ever happened to you. Have you ever given someone a reading where you're saying things and you're fighting that voice saying, oh, that's too ridiculous, it's too absurd, but you say them anyways, and the person is just, yep,
yeah,
but also dead lips? Like, I went through a whole Celtic cross reading once with this woman who was just like, yep. Do you want to tell me anything about it? No, just didn't say a word except yes, yes. And it's funny because you're like, I guess so. They're saying yes, but they're also not giving you
your reading, would you agree with me to tell people to getting your reading is only as good as your interaction with your tarot consultant or tarot reader is. If you're just saying, yeah, pull the cards, I feel like you're more testing me than you are really looking for advice.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes I got to break through it. Like, look, if that's all you're wanting to do, here, I'll burn through 8 cards for you real quick. We'll be done in a lot less than 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is on you because, yes, we're not all complete, we're not all the old incredible Kreskin, where everything just unfolds, especially using tarot. It's pictures, it's sight, it's sound, it's smell. And if you don't give us something to go on, because we're asking for direction through the cards, we have focused, folks. When Mo and I do a reading for somebody, we are focusing on the question ourselves. So when you don't give us a direct path to focus on, we don't know. When spirit takes us down a wild, crazy thing, well, they need to hear this, that they're an idiot. You're like, I see you've got a temper problem,
That always goes over so well.
Oh, yeah. The strength card comes up, that line, what I find out I love it. And I just did a reading online for the show. And what was it? The 8 of Pentacles came up, followed by the strength card, the traditional holding the lion's head or whatnot. I said, it looks like you need to learn to keep your mouth shut, and but I can't help. I'm telling you what was given to me, and I have to start. One of the things is, what's the first thing that comes into my head before I analyze it too much, because that's my angels, that's my spirit going, here's a message. Somebody else could look at this and get a completely different reading. But I mean, yeah. So when your guides or these weird messages come up, what do you do?
It's an ongoing battle. One of my main goals over the last year or so has been to just spit it out. I do find that a lot of those messages are kind of slippery in nature, and if I don't get them out right away, they do tend to kind of slip away. But yeah, that learning that trust is so so important. I mean, just like that, story I told you earlier, and just all kinds of different things where the more ridiculous it sounds almost, the more on point it's going to be. So
Oh my God, I
if it's a
agree.
message, I just say it. I mean, sometimes a specific word comes through for a specific reason. I did a tarot reading for a woman probably 6 months ago who her main question was, my husband passed away 6 months ago. Am I ever going to find love again? And the card that came up representing her husband was the Emperor. And I got the word controlling in my mind. And I went through like 5 or 10 different gentler euphemisms to, I didn't want to say was your dead husband what verb tense do you even use? Was your dead husband a controlling prick? Like I didn't want to say that. But until I used the word and I said, ma'am, may I be frank with you? Was he controlling? And she said, oh, yes. Like that was just the word she needed to hear because,
Yeah.
you know,
No, and sometimes it can be that simple as validating that they were being controlled, gas, So you're trying to find love, but do you even know who you are?
yeah,
Because you've been under somebody else's control or puppet strings for so long. Maybe we need to do some self work. Maybe we need to do a little bit of shadow work. Folks,
yeah,
shadow work isn't going to the dark side. It is that subconscious, that other side of ourselves that we all have.
right.
Okay. So, yes, I'm not calling on Satan. That's not it. I'm always reminded of Saturday Night Live and the church lady, Satan. But yeah, no, you're right. And sometimes people do need to hear that. So, all right. Now you talked about, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Your favorite type of person to read for? Who would that be?
Love reading for people who've never had a reading. I if they're a little scared of it, even like I love that. I consider myself to be a very nurturing, gentle, caring person, and I also just love bringing people into my world when I'm passionate about something. So that's kind of where those two things collide. And yeah, just reading for people who've never had a reading before and kind of showing them what it can do, what it's not going to do that maybe
Right.
they were afraid it would do, and just kind of showing them the power that it can give to them. And that it's not this, contract for your future or something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. No, it's a good feeling when you break through with somebody.
Mhm.
And like, look, I'm not here. And the whole thing, like you said about having an attitude, that's why I have tarot with an attitude. It's my forerunning conclusion. And the first question most people ask me is, what's the attitude? Get a reading? If you're being, I'll use your words. If you're being a prick, I'm going to tell you you're being a prick. Okay. It's, if you really want to know, because I tried doing that real sugar-coaty, airy, fairy, and you know what? It just didn't fit. I was born with sarcasm, and I think people appreciate getting the hard truth. So yeah, no, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but that is good. That is really
Oh,
good.
thanks.
So let me ask you this real quick. You mentioned a Thoth deck.
Mm,
For our listeners, would you explain the difference between your Rider-Waite deck, okay?
yeah.
And if we can, keep it, kind of simple and short, okay? But between that and a Thoth deck, what's the difference?
Yeah, they're kind of as night and day as tarot gets. I mean, Rider-Waite Smith, got the sun right here. I love it. That's the kind of conventional tarot deck that most people are familiar with. They know the artwork, it's what you see in movies and on TV and all that stuff. And it's a fantastic deck to learn on. It was the first one I had. I'm a big on the classics, right?
Yeah,
And it's a fantastic deck to start with because then you can kind of branch out into almost anything. I'd say I'm making this number up, but like let's say
right.
90% of every tarot deck you see out there is kind of based on Rider-Waite Smith. Like if you're going to the store and you're buying, you know, a Care Bears tarot deck or like the Simpsons tarot deck, and I'm sure all of those exist, it's probably based off of that imagery. Thoth I started using maybe like 9 months ago. Someone I knew a really long time ago used to use it. It was what she started with, which blows my mind. And I just always found it really intriguing. This is what the back of it looks like. And so this is the deck that was designed and
I'm
conceptualized.
gonna bring you up a little bigger.
Yeah.
So that way, when you hold your cards up, our audience can see it. Okay.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, this deck was completely conceptualized by Aleister Crowley, who, if you're into magic, you'd probably know that name. And it just combines a lot of elements that I really love. I love the magic component. It includes a lot of astrology symbols. Let me find a good example for you here. Let's just go with the sun again. You know, all different artwork. And so it does have this kind of more occult feeling to it. It's also got the like Hebrew symbols as well, which one of my many interests, hoping to get into the Tree of Life more and Kabbalah. But yeah, it's just a very different deck, and it really intimidated me when I first got it, because I did say, oh no, it's so different from what I'm used to seeing. But the biggest difference I will say is that this deck just plain old evokes. You know, I went and I bought a bunch of books and I said, oh God, I have to start from scratch. But then I just looked at the imagery and it's like it pulls meaning out of you. It just, yeah, it pulls it all out. So it's magic in its own right, and they kind of each have their own uses. So
Yeah, exactly. And folks, that's why I strongly encourage people, rather than buying decks online, if you can, get to what I call a juju shop. My wife and I call them a juju shop. You know, a good, privately owned tarot, a place where you can get into tarot decks. And most of those places will let you open them and go through the deck so you can see what the artwork is. Because a lot of times the artwork is what you will connect with. And when you buy from Amazon, a lot of good decks on Amazon. Do not get me wrong, okay? But it's just like a movie. They will show you the cards with the best artwork, and sometimes it's the best part of the deck. And then you try to open that deck and you can't connect to the artwork because the artwork speaks to you. So don't be afraid. And I'm going to show you something here real quick. You are going to get a kick out of this. My wife found this, bought it for me. Okay.
that's on my wish list.
It was a Kickstarter. Okay.
Yep.
And there we go. Wisdom of Pooh. And let me tell you something, the artwork in this deck they went through everything about making sure it's legit. So nothing's pirated here or whatnot, but it is legitimate. Then I go into one of my favorite decks, which was another Kickstarter deck, okay? Was the Lost Tarot deck that has artwork something like this. And again, what I like about this is that very colorful. I can get into it. The Empress, and seeing what's going on. Oh, she's got a child. Oh, but there's fruit. You can draw so much from the artwork of decks when you have that. And that's where you have to be open to what popped out at you with that. So, the other thing I do is I tell people, it's funny. You and I are probably alike. You've got two main decks. This is one of mine. I've got bunches. But the longer you're into it, we need to start a tarot deck anonymous club for everybody that we're surrounded. When both my wife and I do it, there's hundreds of decks. I don't put a deck away that I don't connect with. I don't automatically just give it away. But then I want to know if this happens to you too. One day you'll be looking at something with your main deck and you can't really get a jive, and something will tell you to go pull that one deck that got tucked away, and next thing you know, you're using that deck for a month. You can't put it down.
I think that actually just happened to me this morning.
Wow.
I was doing, it was the full moon this morning, and I was doing a little ritual, and I had left all my usual decks downstairs, and I had I bought the Salvador Dali deck a while ago, and I wanted to connect with it so badly. And I, I did all the things and just never really felt connected to it. And it was sitting right there today, and it was all I had, and it made spectacular sense. So might be using that one more going forward. We'll find out.
There you go. Folks, when you grab a deck, make sure you connect with it. Take some time, get to know the artwork, things like that. But don't keep going to a deck out of habit. Something tickles your ear that says, grab this other deck. And, it's like arguing with your mother when you're arguing with spirit. I don't want to use a deck. I don't want to eat my greens. Okay. But I want you to use that deck. And it can be as simple as like some of the night cards. Some of them face left in certain decks. Some of them face right. Some of them face away from you. And they might need that artwork from that deck,
right,
for you to grab hold of it. Hey, real quick, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do 3 cards about something our viewers need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, do you want to pull a card and I pull a card, and you pull a card and I pull a card? Or do you want to lay out 3 cards and then you lay out 3 cards and we'll just compare them? How do you want to do it?
Let's do one at a time, side by side.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'll bring mine up so they can see it. See what's happening. You hold yours up to the camera. I'm going to I'll leave that there. We'll see what's going on. Okay. So here we go. All I'm asking is, what is something very important that our viewers, anybody watching this, we need them to know? All right. Do you want to lead off or do you want me to?
I like to wait for jumpers. So if you pull before I get jumper.
Unfortunately, I grew up playing poker. I don't get a lot of jumpers because I can shuffle. When I do, I grab them. Folks are talking about when you shuffle and things fly out of the deck. My friend Bridget, that's how she gets her cards. She shuffles until that happens. And sometimes 8 of them will pop out. And the High Priestess. So we're talking about, you go ahead. You say what the High Priestess is. They're tired of hearing me say it probably. But in this situation,
what I'm getting out of this, so when I think about the High Priestess, I always think about the Magician as well. They're both very magical, mystical. We think of them as doing these things that we don't always understand we can do ourselves as, regular people. But I think the Priestess is coming out in this scenario to say, like, look, right now we're in a really kind of hectic time. We're in Gemini season, which is my season, and I love it. But it's a lot of air energy, a lot of like just, I got to go, I got to do, kind of this drive to like match our thoughts. But the Priestess is like, no, child, just we're going to sit. We're going to listen. We're going to see what comes to us, what tickles our fancy, what like speaks to us to do. We're going to use that intuition, and we're not going to just we're not going to let our mind run the entire show just because it's its season.
And you know what I find funny is, so my first card, go figure, right? You're on, intuition. And so I think spirit knows it's running back and forth. With the intuition, it's going to be important to use your intuition because at some point, over this next month or two, and I'm noticing it a lot throughout this year, people feel lost. And they're like, I just wish somebody would tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And when I see your intuition card followed by the star, okay, that's saying to me, you know what to do. The star is here to remind you to have a little bit of faith in yourself. And when you don't understand it, stop, slow down. In everything, there's balance. She's kind of like an encumbrance to me of all cards. Okay. It's encompassment. Okay. Because one foot's in, one foot's out, water, water, water. And that's emotions. And what I see here in the star is always that reminder. We've got the moon lurking back here. You're not always going to have the answer. Okay. And you're going to need to use your intuition. And when you start needing that, don't lose hope, but look up. Find direction. Connect with your spirits, your guides, your higher consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's always hope. Wow. Okay. So now what's your next card?
Oh, let's find out.
Okay.
That was
Look
quick.
at that. Wow.
2 for 1. 2 for 1
Okay.
here.
Let me do this. I'm going to bring it so people.
So
Okay.
we've got the Page of Swords coming out with the Wheel of Fortune. Building off of this, I would say something that will come from that slowing the mind down, allowing for the next big message, the next big idea to come through, is leading you to that moment where instead of your gears, your thoughts, your brain kind of going in circles, you're like kicked off into this new exciting yeah, this feels like a new learning venture, like something that you're like, I don't know why, I don't know where it's coming from, but all of a sudden I have to learn every single thing about, karmic astrology or
Right.
plants. I don't know, whatever it is for you. But this feels very much like there's a new learning opportunity coming that gets you out of kind of a rut, right? Like restarts a new cycle, opens another new door.
That's cool. And I liked how you said new idea,
Mhm. Yeah.
What I got, the 2 of Wands.
Nice.
All right. And there's that, wow, this always happens when it's a communication issue.
Yeah.
The 2 of Wands is like, okay, I know you got all these schemes, and the Wheel of Fortune, like you just said in the page, we get all passionate about wanting to do so much. The 2 of Wands is saying it's time to make a plan. There's something you want to accomplish, something you want to do. The Wheel of Fortune was there to show us things change. We got everything going on celestially this month, and so this is a good time to pick something and make a plan and be able to move on it. That's going to be one of the things I've got. All right, where are we at? One more time.
All right, last up, we've got the 2 of Cups. So Cups, getting back into emotions. We're really kind of balancing these cups and these swords, this like head and heart there. Building off what we've done, this new idea, this new passion feels like it's a gateway within as well. For me, in this moment, this 2 of Cups has more of that kind of internal union, that sort of like falling in love with yourself, getting to know yourself, like maybe even being a new version of yourself and saying, hello, nice to meet you. You're fantastic. And I can't wait to get to know you better.
Hi, I'm your higher conscious. I miss you. Yeah, no, that's really cool, because I really see this as just complete fun and games. 2 of Swords. Okay, so duality, and the 2 of Swords. So we are right now talking about her with the emotions and me with the mental. Okay, yeah. And if you take this as a combined message, what they're saying is there are some things I think people are afraid of, so they're not making a decision, and therefore they're stuck, they're stagnant. You got to fall back in love with yourself from that 2 of Cups. You've got to have that duality within yourself to say there's a time to think, there's a time to just go with your gut. Okay, and the 2 of Swords, I love my wife saying, when you decide not to make a decision, you made a decision to do nothing. Yep. So nothing changes. And what this is saying is at some point, you got to make a decision. And it's on you. And what I'm really picking up, when you showed that 2 of Cups, I was like, that's duality of one person right there. Boom. There it is. And here we are with another 2 again. And now we're up here. And we're talking about our mind can be split in 2, conscious, subconscious, things we want to do, things we're afraid of, things we're not afraid of. So, man, everybody, that was powerful. That was really powerful. So there y'all have it. I don't know what else to tell you. We're giving you guidance, okay, over the next few weeks. That was the message that Spirit had for you. Morrisa, Mo, is there anything you would like to say before we call it a day?
I'd just love to say thanks for having me. This was really, really fun. Got a few upcoming events if you want me to mention some of those. I've got Her Wild Soul coming up in Kittery Portsmouth, New Hampshire, this upcoming Sunday. I'll be reading at Lady in the Moon in Portland this Saturday, as well as every Wednesday for the foreseeable future. I've got the 15th. I'm going to be up in Augusta again for a very fun psychic fair. So if you're in the area, definitely get over to that. And yeah, just give me a follow on Instagram at the Lowkey Priestess, and happy to set up some online readings if you can't get out to any of those events.
There you go, folks. You got it. You know what? The Portsmouth thing, we are at Market Square Day tomorrow. We have a thing there. And then the Strawberry Bank one on Sunday, we're there too. So here we go again. We'll see where you're at and whatnot. And wonder if we're going to wind up next to each other again. That's funny.
Yeah.
So, but that's good. Folks, reach out. She has just the greatest vibe, the greatest energy. Okay. Reach out to her. Do you want to give out an email or no? That's up to you.
Yeah, my email address is just my first name, Morrisa, and Higer, last name Higer @gmail.
Perfect. Folks, all that information will be in the description below. So, Mo, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. Hold the phone. I'll get right back with you just 1 second, okay? Folks, what a fantastic day. This young lady, I mean, man, just watching her and with people, her energy and the things they do, and watching people walk away from her place smiling, man, you got to check her out. You got to check her out. But as always, take what you want, leave what you don't, but leave having experienced some peace, love, and light. Bangarang! This is Tarot with an Attitude, featuring your host, tarot consultant and spiritual medium, the Reverend Rob Lee.